Hi everybody, Jo here again. How you doing? Hope you're feeling okay. I hope today's treating you well. Thanks for popping in. Hope you've got a brew, cheeky snack, and we're going to spend a little bit of time and have some crafty play. Now today we're going to make something a little bit different. We're going to have a go, I say have a go, at creating a shaker card. And a few people recently have messaged and said that the mojo has gone a bit astray. And I did a little video on a little technique just to sort of get you back into crafting, because often once you start creating, it brings Mr. Mojo back. But also the one thing I found is that sometimes I need something to just spark my interest. And I thought, you know what, let's do something a little bit different. Let's just challenge it a bit. And that might just spark your interest. Sorry, excuse me. You know what this throat's like of mine. Have a quick drink of water, see if we can make it any better. I think it's one of those things, I don't think I'm ever going to get rid of it, so I'm sorry. It's just going to be, you're going to have to bear with me. So anyway, so like I say, so I thought we'd have a go at creating this lovely shaker card, and I've come up with a way of making it that I'm hoping is going to be quite easy and effective, but we shall see, shan't we? The other thing is, today we've got our new challenge launching. So if you follow the Lavinia website and our Facebook group, the challenge, and we've got a theme each month and it launches. So the first of the month is when it launches, and our theme for this month is Glitter Flurry. So this is my inspiration, and I don't know if you can see, I've added lots of beautiful glitter, and I've also incorporated very cheekily a couple of new stamps. So if you weren't aware, on Friday, Lavinia launched some new stamps, and these are all hand-drawn by our Tracy Dutton. And I'm going to use two of them today. Our beautiful Woodland Sprite here, and our English Bluebells. So, shall we get started? Let's have a go. So I'm going to use a piece of card. And as always, I've measured it, and I've completely forgotten what it measured. So I'll remeasure it for you. So that's 5 inches by 7 inches. You'd have thought I could remember that, wouldn't you? And we'll start off by doing some stamping. And I'm going to bring in our beautiful Woodland Sprite. Now, she's quite a sizable stamp. Often when we see designs, we don't get an idea of how big the stamp is unless we've got something to compare it with. So as I say, she's a sizable stamp, and I'm going to ink her up in the black VersaFine Clair Nocturne. Now she's a silhouette. So lots of light tapping, plenty of ink. We've had a few questions recently in our group, people asking with silhouettes why they don't stamp well. Now, often it can be, if you've got a new stamp, there is a coating that's on the stamp with the manufacturer. I always just give mine, you can give them a gentle rub with a rubber, an eraser, or I tend to just give mine a little wash with some warm water and just let them dry naturally. And then, to be honest, I put some ink on, stamp on copy paper, leave that ink on, then stamp again. But everybody has different ways of doing this, and it's just priming the stamp. I mean, these are really, really good quality stamps, and it's not that they actually need priming. It's just that if you're struggling, that could be why. And it's just something in the manufacturing process. It's nothing that, you know, the stamps aren't good enough. It's nothing that you're not good enough. It's just all these little tips that sometimes I think when we go to stamp, I know I used to have terrible trouble stamping. And to be honest, that's why I have my copy paper underneath. It just works well for me. You know, I've seen some demonstrators, they can stamp straight on the desk and they literally stamp down, lift it up, and it stamps beautifully. That doesn't work for me. And I think you just have to look at what works for you. You know, we're supposed to be enjoying this. And I think you don't have to think you have to be perfect, or just because somebody does something perfectly, you know, we're all different. And at the end of the day, I think as long as we enjoy it, and if you can get little tips off somebody that will help you enjoy it and give good results, you know, you take those tips. And if you find something that works for you, you pass it on and help each other. That's the beauty on here. We have such a lovely family. It's such a lovely community. Now, while I'm talking, obviously I'm letting all that ink soak into the card. And I'm being mindful, the silhouette, the body here of our Woodland Sprite is the bit where the ink really needs to get into that card. Now, I could have used my stamping platform, but for me, I'm a bit funny. I almost see it as giving in for me. And that's just me. That's just the way my head works. Now, you watch, if this doesn't stamp well, I'll be saying, why didn't I use my stamping platform? But I've got faith in my stamp. There we go, and I'm happy with that. I'm more than happy with that. For me, that is absolutely stunning. As I say, for a sizable stamp like that. Now, I'm just going to turn it over and blot it, because obviously my VersaFine Clay is a slower drying ink, and I don't want to smudge my design. Because I'm just going to add some colour round my image now. And for this, I'm going to come in with a couple of my Elements inks, and I've got the Confetti and the Della Blue. Now, I could use a blending tool, but I'm going to use my stencil brush. Now, the thing is with this, I may get some slight little lines, but the reason I want to do it this way is I want to show you it doesn't matter. Now, a couple of ladies have messaged me, and they've been saying that when I put the ink on the mat, they really worry that I'm wasting my ink. So I'm going to be mindful. And thank you for all your hints and tips. As I say, we learn from each other. And instead of dabbing my ink off on my mat, I'm going to dab it onto my lid. It takes a lot for me to get used to this, because I used to be doing it on my mat, and that's the way I work. So I'll probably end up still doing it on my mat, but here goes. Now, I always start in the corners. You see, I still have to put some off on my mat. What am I like? And I'm just going to use a circular motion and just blend in. And I always want it darker on my corners. So we'll have some nice pink then along the bottom. And then on this corner, and again, ink up from here. I won't take it from my lid. I'll take it from the lid, not the ink pad. And again, that corner. And I sort of use a combination of circular motions and a cross. But I want to leave almost a bit of a halo around the stamped image here. So I'm going to pick this ink up and just come up the side. And then turn round onto the next corner. And again, we'll pick some ink from the lid. Just bring it in here. As I say, I sort of do a bit of a circular motion and then a bit of a cross. And then the last one. And then down this side. Now this corner's not as dark as that, so I'll just bring in a little bit more ink off that lid. And the beauty of it is I've not had to go back into my ink pad, have I? These inks are so juicy. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So I'll put the lid on there. And then I'm just going to wipe this, because I'm going to blend my next colour. I don't want almost the colours and the brushes to contaminate each other. So I do have to just clean up in between. But Mr. Inky's perfect for that, Mr. Inky Binky. So we're going to come in with the Della Blue now. Let's find my brush with my blue on. And again, I'm going to give it a good ink in and then take it off in the lid and see if we can go all the way around with what's in our lid. And again, if you notice, try and remember to keep that kitchen roll just so we don't get these dirty finger marks. Now, I don't want to come in as far here. So I'm going to start with the corner. And I want to just frame the design, but almost give it sort of a purpley hue. And the reason I'm bringing the blue in is I'm thinking bluebells, English bluebells. So that's the sort of effect I'm going for. So again, I'm going to ink up on the corner. Can you still see? I have to check I don't just wander out of shot. I get so carried away enjoying what I'm doing. But again, you know, if you're one of the ladies and your mojo's gone, often we just put too much pressure on ourselves. Just try and lose yourself. Try and create a piece. Even have a go at creating this. And then, you know, before you know it, your mojo will be back and you'll be thinking, oh, actually, I could do this. I could add this. You know, maybe you've not got these new stamps yet, but I'm sure you've got something that would work just as well. And maybe that's what you need to kickstart your mojo. Maybe you just need to look in your stash and see what you've got. Just want a bit more ink. And we'll have some down the side here. Let's pick some up off the mat. And it's a matter of looking. Now looking at that, I just want these corners a wee bit darker. So I'm just going to brush in a little bit more, I think, in these corners, just to almost bring that purpley tones. Yes, for me, I think that looks, that bottom corner there. And again, there's no rush, just enjoy what you're doing. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So just give this a bit of a whiz. Again, just use a wet cloth. Well, a damp cloth, not wet, too wet. And then what we'll do now is we're going to stamp our bluebells. Oh, do you know, everything's alive this morning. Do you ever have those? Because I'm recording this first thing in the morning. And everything just seems to be, I think they've all got all the little fairies and pixies and elves have all come out this morning. They've all got a mind of their own. So we've had a look at the finished one. In the background, look, we've got some beautiful bluebells. So what we're going to do is we're going to stamp in our elements in the Della Blue. Remember, you can stamp in these, and that's going to put the images in the background, and then we'll come in with our black and stamp some in the foreground. I love to do this, just stamping. Quite often I use two different colours of our VersaFine Clair ink, but here I wanted almost a softer look, a hazier look. So I think the Della Blue works well for this. So I've got my English bluebell, and again, I'm just going to turn this to the side. Now, if you notice on the end card, I've flicked some water, but I'm not going to do this until the end, only because if I flick the water now, I'm going to have to dry my card, and I personally don't find it as easy to stamp on the card once I've dried it. So that's the reason why I'm just doing it this way. Now, these are foam. You've got quite a bit of sort of a foamy sort of felt. They're quite spongy. So try not to push your ink pad down too hard on your stamp. I find really light tapping helps with this. So if we have a look, let's have one of these behind her. And actually, I'm just going to get rid of a little bit on the base. I don't want too much of the base. Just sort of so they're in the distance and you can just almost see the top, the heads. So if we have another one here, and again, I don't want to overcook it with this. I just want a few, and it will just help to add to the atmosphere, but also help to add and give perspective. And in fact, even with this, I'm going to go second generation, just so it looks like there's one in the distance there. Give us that another depth of perspective. And then this one, I want the whole of the image, and we'll put this one here. And then I'm just going to wipe, just with the wet cloth and my Inky Binky, because now I'm going to come in with my permanent ink and stamp. And again, I don't want to overcook this. I don't want too many, but once you add the black, so if I show you what you've got so far, and I know this looks a bit random at the minute, but once we add the foreground, you'll see what a difference it will make. Now I'm thinking if we have one there, and what I want to do is I want to make sure that my sides, I don't want them to look symmetrical because it won't look natural then. So I'm thinking, and often if you just put a little bit of a tilt on your stamp, so this one I'm thinking if we have one just sort of coming in off the page there. And again, remember, if you're not sure how it's going to look, use your acetate. But I'm thinking 2 here, and it'll help frame. So if I put 1 here, and then this space at the bottom is just perfect there. We'll have 1 there, and then just a little 2nd and 3rd generation. And I'm happy with the shape of this. That there, don't worry, I can see I've got a little bit, but we shall get rid of that. So again, don't worry about that. When we put the fact that we're using a shaker card, it will be fine. So quick clean of my stamp. And what I'll do is I'm just going to bring my heat tool in and just give that a bit of a dry, just so I don't smudge it. There's nothing worse than, I had a message from a lady the other day whose mojo had gone, and she'd just gone in a craft room, made a project and then smudged it at the end. So I know I keep saying it, but I really do blot as much as possible. Dry with your heat tool. You really don't want to spend time creating a lovely design and then smudging it. So what we'll do now, we'll add the moon. So in with our acetate circle masks. And let's have a look. Yes, we'll go for this size. We'll just pop that there. Now for the moon, I'm actually going to come in with a purple, just to go on with that sort of purpley pinky blue theme. And this one's violet chalk. And again, I'm just going to turn it this way, and we'll have her head right in the middle there. Now again, I'm just going to pick up some ink off the lid. Might have enough on there. So always go onto your mask first and gentle flicking. And this is why it's important that that ink was dry. You really don't want to smudge those beautiful bluebells. I love bluebells. We went over to Belfast a few years ago to do a workshop, and the bluebells were out there in the woods. They were absolutely beautiful. Must admit, I hope, ladies, so you ladies in Belfast, I'm hoping we're going to be able to travel over and do a workshop this year. Let's hope COVID lets us. I do miss travelling and seeing you all. Right, oh, I think that's beautiful. And again, what's the difference? And you see how it tones in with the colour. And even though we've used the pink and the blue here, obviously, because red and blue make purple, but it keeps with that purple tone. And because we've left the white, we've sort of got that glow. Now again, just going to wipe my moon mask, my circle mask, before I put it away. Because again, the last thing you want to do is pick it up next time and it have ink on. We're trying get in these good habits, and I'm going to put it away straight away, because otherwise, you know what happens? I'll put it on my desk and I won't be able to find it. What I want to do now is just add some highlights. So, somewhere, got my chalk pastel pencil, and I'm just going to add little bits of highlights for me, just with my white pencil. And again, it's the chalk pastel, so you just need to smudge it. And obviously, because we've got the moon, we're going to get these lovely highlights. And the smudging does 2 things. So it will fix the chalk pastel, but also it will just give a nicer effect. Now you could use your gel pen for this. Again, it's totally up to you. I'm just not as brave, so I tend to use my chalk pastel pencil. But it's all about what effect you like. There's no right or wrong. And I'm just going to add some on my bluebells here, even though they're black. add some on these. And a quick bit of a rub with my finger. A bit more on that one. A bit more on there. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And again, highlight just adds to the whole thing. So what I'm going to do now is just sprinkle my water. And again, I've got my fan brush. Now, I know we've stamped in elements, so this is a dye-based ink, so it will move with water, but I don't mind that, because if these bluebells just smudge a little, I don't mind that at all, because it will just add to almost that distance, that first thing in the morning, that lovely look. And again with this, you can see how it looks. And once you see the oxidising taking place, look, you can always get your kitchen roll and give it a dab. If you think you like that colour, you don't want it to go anymore. And I will just bring at home, I would let this dry naturally. So I would go away, make myself another drink, another little cheeky brew. But here, obviously, we'll use the heat tool. Just give it a dab to hurry it along as well. And again, always when you heat from the front, or just heat from the back as well. Helps keep your card nice and flat. Now what I have just realised is what I haven't done, which I did on my original. If I show you my original, I've got a little bit of warmth here in the sky. Can you see that? So I'll try and add that now. For me, this is almost too bright. So to add a little more atmosphere, what I did was I came in, we've had some beautiful skies at the minute, certainly here in Cheshire. I don't know about you, but the skies in the morning and of an evening have been gorgeous. And it does sort of inspire me to try and create things in the sky. So I'm just going to come in, and this is Sahara. Now again, I'm going to put some in the lid. And I'm just gently going to just add a little bit of colour, not too much. And I am being very, very gentle. So again, I took some ink off on the lid, and I'm just hardly touching my card, but just to make it look as though you've got that lovely colour in the sky. I'm not going to add too much, I'm going to stop there. And for me, that just warms it up a bit. As I say, I should have done that before I added the water, but you'll get the idea, you'll do it properly. And what we want to do now is now the time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to die cut this, and then I'm going to add my glitter. For me, I want to do it that way round. And that's the way I'm going to get my shaker card. Now, if you're happy with this, you could just mat and layer this and leave it as it is. It's totally up to you. But I just came up with this way of making, and for me it's a bit of a cheats shaker. So all I'm going to do is, this is slightly off shot, but it's just because I've had to lift my little machine on my desk. I'm just going to use a little bit of Sweet Poppy low tack tape. It's not easy to say that, is it? Sweet Poppy low tack tape. And I've got just a square die here. Now you could use anything, any shape. And I just find a die is going to be easier for me. And that way I know my design will match. So that's why I wanted to stamp my design first. So sorry if the camera shakes. But there we go. Sorry, just a little sip of my water. And then what we have here, and again, make sure the low tack tape. If ever you're not sure about your low tack tape, a little tip, get your heat tool. Now this is Sweet Poppy low tack tape, as I say, so I know it's very good. But if you're worried or it seems a bit too stuck on, use your heat tool and it will just take it off like that, no problem. So that way we have our beautiful image. Now I'm going to add some glitter, and the reason I doing it this way is I didn't want to add my glitter and then put it through my die cutting machine. And I'm going to go for the mermaid blue, and this is our eco glitter. Now the theme is flurry of glitter, so I need to add plenty of glitter, don't I? So I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to add it first here. Let's give it a shake and take the lid off. And I'm going to have flurries down my bluebells. So I'm just adding it with a quickie glue pen. And again, I'm just adding it round the stem. I don't want to take away the beautiful stamping that we've done. I want to sort of accentuate it. So, and my quickie glue pen should stay wet, giving me time to go around all of them. And then let's add some glitter. And again, I'm happy pouring it all out because I know I can just tip it back. Now, again, if you get any that's on, if you've got any wet ink, the glitter will almost adhere to that momentarily, but it won't stay there. So I just tend to have a little brush and brush it off any areas where I know I didn't put the glue. Right, and let's add this back. Again, it's amazing how much glitter you get. So we'll go on with our main image. I'm just going to add a little bit of glitter to this as well, to our beautiful bluebells, and maybe a little bit round our main image. And again, tap its bottom. Oh yeah, that's lovely. So we'll just tap this back. And as I say, I find if I tap the pot, because it seems so much glitter, it definitely seems to expand when I get it out, when I seem to use it. And always make sure you get that lid on. And then what we're going to do, I've got a piece of black card just to mat and layer this onto. So I shall quickly do that. And again, whatever method you use, now I'm going to use some Bippity Boppity glue. So that's our Lavinia glue, beautiful fine nozzle. And I use double-sided tape and glue just because for me it's a bit of sort of belt and braces. And this glue's got such a fine nozzle look, so we'll have some extra glue. So I've got my double-sided tape and my glue. I'll just clean my area, check I'm in shot. And then it's just a matter of lining this up, checking all my sides. There we go. And then take my tape out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make our shaker element. So we'll put this on one side. And again, we'll just put the lid on the glue and just give our mat a bit of a wipe. And what we've got now is our shaker part. And to actually make our shake a bit, I save, I don't know about you, but every time I get new stamps, I save these, the little envelopes. And I just want an envelope that this is going to fit in. I think this one might, but yeah, that's too small. So we'll go for this one. You know what us crafters are like? We really don't like to throw anything away, do we? And what we're going to do is we're just going to get our anti-static bag. And I'm just gently going to put a little bit over my stamped image. And the same in my bag. Just it'll stop the glitter and things sticking on my cellophane. And if you haven't got anti-static bag, a little bit of talcum powder or corn flour you can use. I mean, it's not essential. I just find it gives a better result. And then what we'll do is pop our topper in there. And then turn this over. And there are various ways of sticking this down. I just find a little bit of tape. And I just want to cut this. We don't need that. Now let's add some things. So again, for me, I just keep all sorts of things in a little container. And I've got some sequins. So, and I like the colour of these. And I'm sure you like me. So again, if your mojo's gone, why not have a look in your, have a bit of a tidy up with your craft stuff and see if you've got sequins. And I've also got some lovely little beads. I've got a bottle with some beads in, and they're the nice blue, and I thought that would just go. They're almost like a Della blue colour anyway. Now I don't want to, again, I don't want to overcook it. I don't want too much in there. So I'm thinking that's a nice amount. So we'll just finish this off now. Let's get that at the bottom. Let's make sure it's at the tape on there. Then just a little bit more at the top. There we go, that's caught that side. Just need to get that corner. Now if you want to spend longer, mite the corners. Obviously I don't want to spend all my time, but just make it as neat as you can. I'm happy with that. So I've got a piece of black card, just slightly bigger. I've already cut that. So just for speed, I'm going to use some foam tape and some 3D glue gel. But again, you use whatever, you could put this flat. I just want it raised up a little bit. And again, it's like everything, don't know about you, but taking the back off things like foam tape or any sort of tape sometimes can be the worst bit. It's like, oh, there we go, that's come off, that's not too bad. So, just going to, again, belt and braces, add a bit of 3D glue gel, just so it'll stick down really well. And as I say, you will take longer and do this a little bit neater. I'm just conscious of time. And what we're going to do is, and again, I may just put my head over this. Just pop that in the middle there. And I just think what a lovely way to make a shaker card. Now again, we've got so many stamps that this would work well with. I just think it's so interesting. I mean, imagine using the sequins with our under the water with our lovely jellyfish and mermaids and the fish. And how nice, because it's just a little bit different. So back to this, and again for me, you can use whatever works well for you. For me, I'm just going to put a little bit of my 3D glue gel here. And I just think it's a lovely way of adding just something a little bit different to your card designs. And I think it's nice to have a bit of a challenge, isn't it? So again, glue up before I put my lid on. And again now this is the bit where I would stand up and just stand over your design. And just make sure I've got wiggle time because it's the 3D. So again, I want to make sure if I just move those out. So that's there. Now let's have a look here. That lines up with that. Here, oh yes, there, you can just see that there lines up with that. So I think the bluebell there's lined up, so I'm happy with that. You do have a little bit of almost bit of a cheat because you've got the black around it. You know, you have got a little bit of wiggle time, but I think that all lines up beautifully, so I'm happy with that. So if I bring in, now I've purposely left this without a sentiment so that I could add either a sentiment on the card here, or I've left this space here ready for a sentiment. But I think a birthday or a with love, I think would look beautiful on there. So I'm hoping you enjoyed that. I'm hoping it inspires you. Maybe just gets Mr. Mojo back and you create something a little bit different. And I have to say, she is gorgeous. And remember, we've got the malted wings. You can add the wings to her. As I say, so many possibilities. And I'd love you to enter the challenge. Now, if you don't know anything about the challenge, the winner is drawn at random. And you could win £40 to spend on Lavinia stamps on the website. So honestly, it's well worth doing. So again, Glitter Flurry. I'm sure you've got some glitter that you could add to one of your designs in a flurry like I have done. So you take care, everybody. Thanks for your support. Honestly, it really means a lot. Much love and hugs. See you soon. Bye for now.